What's going on, guys? I'm Bill and welcome to Bill's How To. Today I'm going to be showing you guys step by step how to replace a damaged or broken door. This is going to be nice and simple to follow along and do yourself from home. Save yourself some money. Let's get straight into it, guys. Let's do this. Alright guys, so we've got a door here that's obviously been damaged. We've got it being kicked in and punched. This is a perfect time to remove a little sample from the door. That way you're going to be able to take this into your local paint store and colour match the actual paint colour here. So we've got this one here ready to go. Next thing you want to do is measure up your door. So this one here is a standard size door. Measure the width, we've got 815 here. They come standard at 820, or standard doors here in Australia anyway. So we're going to shave that one there down. You want to also check the thickness of the door. It's an internal door, so usually that's a 35mm door, which we've got here in this case. Just make sure because it could be a 40mm door. So take your cordless drill or a screwdriver and remove all the screws from the door side hinge. Do the same thing on the bottom. So now the door should simply come off. What we're going to do as well is I'm going to completely remove this hinge here from the door jamb. I'm going to put this one here in my pocket and I'll show you guys later on why I removed it. So now you can pick up your door, take it to your working area. So I've got the new door here sitting on a horse ready to go. What you want to keep in mind is the side that the lock is going to be installed on. So if we have a look here, this is a hollow core door, which means the inside is hollow, and there'll be a little center block here that's been installed to allow a bit more strength and integrity for your lock to be installed on. So with these stickers here, it actually says that a hollow core door, the lock should be centered and installed on this side of the door. On the other side, it'll be hollow, won't be as strong. So just keep that in mind when you're getting everything ready to transfer your measurements over from our existing door over to our new door. So now we can take the old door, making sure to line up our hole here for our door lock on the same side that we've got our sticker. So that way we're going to make sure everything is being installed correctly. You want to push everything through, and we're going to line up our front face right here. So just push that harder, flush with our new door. You want to also make sure that our top and bottoms are in line as well. So you can push that door there on either side until it's sitting nice and flush. So that's sitting nicely there. Push it across. Now at this point here we can take a pencil and we're going to take a square as well. And we're just going to make sure everything's nice and flush here. If not, we need to trim anything down, we can trace that there down onto our new door, transfer those measurements, and we know exactly what needs to be cut. So this one here is looking pretty good on the face. You want to always square off the front where the lock goes on the front here. Make sure that one there is squared off. If you're going to cut something, cut it on the hinge side. So our top and bottom are fine. If we come around to this side here, you'll notice that our old door is shorter than our new door. So it's probably about 5mm there that we need to cut off. So you take your pencil and just simply trace that over. Move those measurements down onto our new door so we know exactly where it needs to be cut. Now what we're going to do as well, we've also got our reference point here for our hinges. So we don't need to go back to the door jamb and measure our hinge location. We can simply trace everything down from here over to our new door. We're going to do that once everything's been cut down. That way we're going to get a nice accurate reference. But while we've got our door in place, we can center our latch. Our latch here for our door lock. So this one here has seen better days. Most of it's missing on this side, so we're not going to use our little latch section here as a reference point. We're going to actually take the pencil and just mark out our whole location right there, just roughly, and that'll be enough of a reference point there to be able to use my door jig that we can bore this one here out. Or if everything's still intact, what you can do is simply center the latch location right here. So we can see that's a center. Just drop a marking right there. As we move the door across, we can square that one there off and also mark the top like this. That way we've got a center reference and we can also use that when we use our little door jig here. So if we drop that straight over the top, you can see there that's going to line up in the center. And if we come up on top, you can see once again our reference points here are marked on the center of this little groove right there. So now that we've got this one here done, we'll take off our old door for now Put that on the side, and now we're going to trim down the back side of our door here. So now to cut down the back side, you can use a planer or you can use a circular saw. Much easier and faster to use a circular saw than a planer. Just line it up nicely and just cut that all the way down. Alright, so now we've got that one there removed. We've got a nice little thin piece of cut that we've taken off. Everything's looking nicely now. We're going to place that door back on just one more time, and we're going to trace over those measurements for our hinges. So put the door back on top, line everything up, starting with our front face where the lock is going to go, our top and our bottom are nice and square as well. At that point we're going to come around to this side here, and you're going to run your hand along the side, and you want to make sure that everything's nice and flush now. So now that we've cut everything down, it should be exactly the same size as our existing door or our original door. So now we're going to transfer the measurements over. Take your square, run that along the side, and what I like to do is run my pencil line on the original section first to see how much of a pencil mark I'm leaving. That way we know exactly how much to factor in for our pencil. So I can move that over just slightly, even half a mil or a mil or so. We want it to basically run right on the edge, and we're going to do the same thing down here. Move it across, same thing, and I like to just put a reference point along here, and that way we know this section here is for waste. We're going to do the same thing on the other hinge. So once again, mark it, light reference point, and that's our waste right there. So now we're going to remove this door here. We no longer need it. Now to drill out the lock location, what I like to use is this little Milwaukee jig here. Nice and simple, you can adjust it for a 60-70 mil offset. It's also capable of doing 35 and 40 mil doors. Nice and handy, pretty cheap, and it'll make your life much easier. So just simply open it up, slide it over the top. If you're coming nice and close here, you can see that we've got our reference point right there. Now this one here is set at a 70 mil offset, so you can see that the circle is not actually in line. Click it back over to a 60, and now that's looking much better. All we want to do is just simply center that there. We take our clamp down the bottom, and we're going to clamp that in place. Tighten it up. And now we can take our hole saw, we can bore out our lock, and we can bore out our latch locations. So for our lock location, we're using a 54 mil hole saw. On our latch section, we're using a 25 mil. So we're just going to start on the top first. That one there will basically center itself. We're going to drill all the way through until our tip or our pilot bit will start exiting out the bottom. Once that happens, we're going to take the drill bit off or the hole saw off, and we're going to drill the rest from the bottom. The reason why we do this is to prevent blowout. If you try and drill all the way through, you're going to run the risk of blowing out the bottom section of the door. We don't want to have to go buy a new door and start all over again. So drill this one here through. So now I can feel that that pilot bit has come through. If you have a look down the bottom here, you might just be able to see that pilot bit that's come through, and that's all we're looking for right now. So take that pilot bit once again, go straight back through that hole. Now we've got our little excess piece right here that we're going to get rid of once again. We're going to swap over our hole saw bit over to a 25 mil, which I put somewhere around here, probably in my pocket. So 25 mil. And we're going to drill straight through the center here. And this one here, what I like about it is it automatically centers as well and accommodates for a 35 and a 40 mil door. So we're going to drill this one here straight through. Alright, so we're just going to clear our hole saw, take a little flathead screwdriver because we haven't gone all the way through yet. Pop it in there and remove that little excess piece, and then continue drilling all the way through. That's it, we've now got just that little last piece that was giving us a bit of a hard time. We can now unscrew this one here. So now we're going to be working on the hinge side. What I'm going to do is take some sandpaper and we're going to clean off the area that we cut down before. And the reason for that is if you have a look in nice and close, you can see tiny little jagged sections on the edge of our cut. All you want to do is take that sandpaper, run it over once or twice, make sure our edges are all nice and clean. And that's pretty much it. That way that section there is going to come up nicely once it's painted. So now we're going to take our hinge. Remembering I put that hinge in my pocket before and I said we're going to use it later on. What we're going to do with it is, if you come in nice and close here, we've got our pencil marks that we transferred the edges of our hinge. Now if we line that one there up, you can see it actually lines up with our hinge. So what we're going to do is, this is the way I like to do it. There's a lot of different ways you can do this, but I'm going to show you guys the absolute easiest way and you can't get it wrong. Take the hinge, line it up between our two pencil marks here. We're going to slide that one in right there. And now what I like to do is take a screw and I just simply press that in the middle there. And you'll see exactly what I'm doing in a second. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but this is my preferred method. Something that I've kind of been doing for years and it works well for me, so I like to keep going with it. So we've got a couple little pin marks right here. Pre-drill your holes to prevent splitting. Alright, so now we've got these ones here ready. I can take my hinge, drop that one there on top. So these two screws here are just going to lock everything in place. At that point, what I like to do is take my utility knife and I simply score around the edge of our hinge here. So just go all the way around, maybe 2-3 times, and you'll see why in a second. Just score that all the way around. That way when I use my router to clean all this material out here, so we've got a nice little recess, that'll remove all the excess material around the edges nice and clean, because I don't have to go hard up against the edge. You'll see what I mean in a second. These little corners here, you also don't need to clean them out with a chisel. As long as you score the edges, it's going to be nicely ready to go. I'll show you guys what I mean. Remove our two screws. So if we take our hinge, put it on the base plate, run it down the side, and what you want to look for is the thickness of the hinge. So you want to make sure that you've got your adjustment there set to the correct thickness of the hinge. That way, once we remove this material here, our hinge is going to sit nice and flush with the door. So if you come in nice and close now, I'll show you guys exactly what I'm going to do here. What I want to do is come as close as I can to the edge that I've just created with my utility knife, but not right up against it. What it's going to do is, as it's rotating, it's actually going to break off that little section there on the edge, and hopefully we'll be able to get that on footage, and I'll show you guys just how easy it is to get a nice clean cut. So I'll just stop there just to show you guys what I mean. You can see now we've got a nice clean edge along the edge there. That corner section has flicked out. There's a little bit of dust still in there, but that's completely now cleared out. And if you have a look, we've got our little section here from where I just trimmed it off. And this is what's flaking away. So as we're cutting up along that edge there, that little section that I've scored is actually snapping off as we go. So that is, I find, the easiest way to clean all this here out. I'm going to quickly go through, clean all this material here out, and I'll show you guys what it looks like once we're done. So once this one here's been cleared out, you can then take your hinge, drop it in place, and you should have a nice tight fit. So as you bring that one there in, we can see there we've got a nice tight fit, and that's now ready to go. We're going to repeat the same process on the other side for our second hinge, but that there I find is the easiest way. If you've got another way of doing it, let me know in the comment section below. I'll quickly cut this one here out as well, and we'll be ready to move on to our next step. So now we've got our latch ready. What we need to do is we need to recess the area for our latch to sit in. We're going to take the exact same process that we used on our hinges, which means drop your latch in place, center that wherever you're happy with. We can then pre-drill our holes to make sure it doesn't split. And what we're going to do is we're going to score around the edges just as we did with our hinges, and then we're going to use the router to remove that excess material. And once that's done, we can then drop in the latch, put our screws back in, and that one there should be ready to go. So now we can reinstall the hinge back to the door jamb. Now these ones here are hollow core doors, so they are pretty light. If they are a little bit heavy, you can get somebody to give you a hand, or you can put something underneath to try and prop the door up as you install the hinge. So what I can do in this case is just use my fingers, thread it on by hand, that'll hold it in place while I put in my initial screw. Then we can move down to our bottom hinge. Put one more screw down here, and that's going to line everything up. And now we can follow through and put in all our remaining screws. So now we've got all our screws in, we can test the door, make sure that our latch actually lines up with our strike plate. I'm just going to quickly close the door, use a flathead screwdriver to unlock it. That's now sitting perfectly. And that is exactly what we're after, guys. So that is how to replace an internal door or an external door, nice and simple. Get out there and give it a go yourself, guys. You're going to save yourself a lot of money. Follow my video step by step and you'll be able to do it all yourself. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. You've learned something new. As always, like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching. Bill's out too.